Welcome to Sealab 2021, or Barotrauma, whichever gets you wet enough to slip into a jumpsuit and dive into the career of an Atlantis psych ward patient. You gotta be at least a tad bit insane to work underwater. However, the Goons did a really nice job with the construction of this huge immobile submarine. Here we have Quentin Jackwright, a botanist that is trying to bring back the mohawk and replace fanny packs with fashionable tool belts like a butch lesbian construction worker. This goon was surrounded by more wetness than a murderer that was locked up in Alcatraz that had crazy female admirers. Quentin never grows any crops. He only puts on a front to get the chainsaw because he enjoys starving his people like Joseph Stalin, taking and trading food for better industrial equipment. But hey, the Soviet Union had to catch up to the rest of us somehow. Anyways, there's too many animals lurking around the plants, so Quentin went into cannibal holocaust mode and gave the monkey its own personal Red Cross that only accepts primate blood donations. He had to take action since Coral Pink Pube Face was just standing around doing nothing. He then escaped into virtual reality, and this made his virtual character a shadow person dressed in April O'Neil's banana jumpsuit. Quentin thought he was safe in this VR world, but the Jaws theme had him worried. Now a great white was chasing him with the movement of Sony Vegas track motion, and once the shark caught him, he got smacked around with its caudal fin. Quentin ran away looking like a human sensor bar. Then it was on because former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was here to save him from the flying ocean bear. Never mind, predators always work together when they smell blood in the water. That is enough virtual inception for Quentin. The only time you should play games while playing a game is when GTA gets so boring you only get enjoyment from the arcade cabinets or from playing sports. And if that ever becomes the case, you might as well just off yourself. The totally badass dude that looks like he would call his motorcycle his hog then went to medbay. During a search of the residential revolving door cemetery, Quentin located the captain's corpse like a mutiny happened, because the captain sure as fuck did not go down with the ship since he dropped before the first leak even occurred, like a guy orgasming before a woman does. Mr. Wright put on the noble fat suit of character acting to claim a new role. He went back to performing shakedowns on bushes like park rangers with nothing better to do. This overgrown landing strip allowed his takeoff by granting him access to the space-renowned moon shoes. Then he remembered he was deep in the big blue since squared water was spawning over the floor.
Physics.
So he went for some oxygen with hopes that it would form a bubble around him to prevent his fresh J's from getting soaked. Then he said fuck it because he wanted to swim with the fishes like Troy McClure, who you may remember from such films as I'm in Nemo and Raw Dogging Jaws: The Revenge. Before his journey into the great H2O, he stopped by an open mic for his live political podcast. Coming to you live from the ocean, water at my feet like New Orleans. He has been waiting a long time to record this. Quentin got ready for his trip by looting like a broke drug addict preparing for a vacation bender. The space water suit was a nice fit, and it even gave his mohawk some breathing room. His adventure could now begin. He hopped around the ocean's surface like a brave deep-sea diver that's scared of sea critters rubbing up against their feet. The ocean is not as big as everybody thinks, because Quentin got to the wall of boundaries pretty quickly. His other discovery was you can safely go fishing with tasers, which brings an end to the era of primitive fishing rods. It was time for him to go back, like trying to relive your youth by sneaking into your elementary school and identifying as a kid. Then he shot the place up because the fun was all over.
You wanna put a banging donk on it?
You a real nigga?
What do you think?
I'm Tyrone. Fuck these niggas. I'm trying to fuck somebody's wife.
Now he is a trader assistant with the objective to kill more clones than an awful marijuana grower, or the decline in popularity of a trend for bandwagon riders. Either way, he had an arsenal ready which featured a pistol, wrestling belt, and a box of grenades. He found some prescription bottle crank in a bush, which may have caught the attention of Miami Vice over here, so he tried to play it cool and innocent. Hello, I like God. I guess the ungodly heathen did not want Quentin getting red-pilled. The security office was a bigger bloodbath than men shredding women fighting for dictatorship of a hot tub. Oh, and Quentin received a fine for something he said on the radio, and not the drugs, because of his celebrity status. Listen here. If you don't clean your ass with a toothbrush, are you really getting a good cleaning? Really, these things bother me. I'm Quentin Jackwright, and that is my take. He gave advice on good hygiene. Nothing disgusting about that. However, nowadays, you cannot say anything slightly inappropriate over the airwaves or you may face arrest. Then when they find your terrorist gear, it's all over for you, buddy. These unlawful security officers killed Quentin, only because he had some cool stuff. This is the AI, the eyes in the sky, or the snitch plotting your demise. What the fuck am I doing? The first thing the AI noticed was the bartender doing some of that naughty self-human harm with the knife, so the always investigating computer took the form of a floating cum bubble to follow along with the action. Then the admiring incel spotted nuke operatives trying to get some gains. The nuke boys gained security notoriety with their flashy wrestling moves. They used their bodies for the ultimate human sacrifice, hurting others. The almost incompetent camera viewer was just a bystander watching all this human harm go down. The amazingly ineffective machine's vision had spots missing because there were blocks of static like the days before 24/7 broadcasting, though the advanced inspector was able to view a gunfight that activated bullet time lag. Then some special helmet wearers tossed a frag grenade. Good thing the assuming idiot does not have to get in the middle of the action like a female host on sports debate shows. The asshole imbecile just has to stay attractive and ask questions, which is easy when you don't have a body or human emotions. These bombs were more cloudy and wasteful than a Jamaican hotbox in a private jet. Their attempt at making a deadly sauna was just causing flooding though. I don't think these ruffians are suicide bombers because they only blow up when they die like musicians with a new mourning fan base after their death. One of the nukers was getting their ass whooped by a clown monkey, but once he got a hold of the little shit slinger, he pulled off a suplex while in water, like anybody who's ever wrestled in a pool. The plunger monkey was victorious. The poor innocent Islam extremist was stripped, beaten, and down to one arm like he jerked off to the point of becoming an amputee. The already inadequate technology was basically just a cheerleader and whistleblower for the station at this point.
I have a very fun plan for tonight. I just heard that they're going to blow up the International Space Station.
Oh my god, blow it up? Why?
No one knows why space people do things.
Quentin Jackwright is back to take on the priesthood like a rival religious gang. He started his day with his morning routine of shrub searching until some gloves fell out. However, this boy of Jesus quickly lost his faith after putting on the atheist sweater of science believers.
Chaos and damnation in the bar. Don't say that. It'll drive the value down.
This godless insurgent knew the bar was the place to be. The bar was sticky like benching after Spider-Man, and this business of fitness was covered in more vomit than Sam Hyde's Guy Heaven gym. Plus the bartender was plastered to the point of speaking in tongues. Quentin asked, "You alright, barman?" The barkeep responded with vomit and drunken Latin.
A semicolon.
Eventually, the station's iBot levitated into the conversation.
Put that at the end of your message, the semicolon.
Boy.
There, you got it.
Then the war with the birds began when a goose teleported behind the bar's counter and ass-blasted flames at the alcohol vendor. During the man versus nature conflict, Quentin was just throwing around glasses like a bully picking on four-eyed geeks, and since this is probably a hate crime, he was tased and attacked by a turkey. Randolph P. Checkers solved the turkey problem by making Thanksgiving dinner with his bare hands, like an old school grandmother that is also a hunter.
Fight the birds.
Quentin thanked him with a congratulatory barefoot slip on a glass shard. Then he found a man on fire that was wearing a non-flammable backpack. This got his attention until he heard the goose leader's powerful words.
We came for bread, and all we found was blood. There's bread in the bar, you long-necked bastard.
Now there was no reason for birds to work due to the inflation of bread. This made the economy more unstable than post-World War Germany, Italy, and Russia all combined. Quentin then betrayed man's best friend because he figured since a dog is an animal, it might also be a bird spy. However, he should have known that dogs hate everything, usually even other dogs, and that they will most likely bark at the smallest of birds and wish death upon it. The dog was chewing him up like a furry's disgusting wet dream of being a chew toy, but luckily he was rescued by the Human Nationalist Brigade. They managed to put Old Yeller to sleep. Then the deranged goose was back to hit Quentin with vicious Taco Bell farts. He was beaten and burnt like being told you have a small dick after a non-lubricated hand job.
Oh, really? Another beating off joke. How original.
He almost died until a toucan that defected from the bird army saved his life. A cyborg smacked him with a med kit until he was able to roll the flames away. Then he used his abdominal muscles to get around like having a six-pack to transport you to getting laid. He was not able to get away because the flaming goose set him on fire once again. Him and another fleshy individual were both burned to death like they had Sims reaction time when seeing fire. Quentin is now a janitor because he was tired of seeing a messy station. He rode around on his mobile ShamWow and noticed the dirtiest player in the game. The wizard. Maybe the wizard was not so bad, because he turned the captain into a bird and left the free stuff lying around. Then Quentin started using his cleaning machine to create a water slide, which was a more wacky use of transportation than Orson Welles using an ambulance as a taxi. He was working hard using his riding mower of cleanup to remove blood. Then it was back to wasting water, like flooding your bathroom to make a room-sized aquarium. It looked like his plan worked because he now had a fish. Are you a fish? Too bad there was not enough water, so the fish died. Oh, and the wizard was back. Quentin figured it was time to be a hero and take on the wizard. He had an energy gun that he picked up from the captain's gear. But instead, the dumbass used a cleaning grenade that backfired, causing him to slip into the wizard's clutches. Then he was polymorphed into a cutesy piece of shit with wings. Now he could fly around with other creatures that were too worthless for the wizard to even kill. Then he was saved and reincarnated into a Nukem operative. These guys were all the way in space, so they had a long journey ahead of them to find the underwater station. Actually, teleportation was a better idea. He had a rocket-propelled grenade launcher, because if I say RPG, then people are going to think this guy is using the RPG Maker to create Game Boy Advance quality games about himself. He only had 2 rockets though, so he probably should have used them more strategically. All he had was a couple of frags, like awful FPS players, but he actually managed to kill not a single person as he was taken down like a wannabe mass shooter caught during their planning stage.
Not only the world of physics, but geophysics as well.
So what does geophysics mean? Well, geo for geophysics and physics for, well, geophysics. Doing a degree in geophysics could mean you'll be helping find new ways of investigating geophysics, looking underground for new sources of geophysics, and determining the internal structure of geophysics from exploration to mining of geophysics. Geophysics plays an integral geophysics. So to find out more about how to get into this geophysics, we've come to geophysics. Barrett, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Geophysics. Yeah, very well. Look, I want to learn a little bit about geophysics. Can you help me out?
Yeah, geophysics.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, first up, what's geophysics?
So geophysics is basically geophysics.
Hey, these are the credits, and this is Text of the Black Pants Legion. I'm not Boat Bomber. Boat Bomber is not me. Let's just put that rumor to rest. I couldn't be Boat Bomber. I'm not hip with the children. I do not play the basketballs in the streets, yo. I do not even know what is popular anymore. Do they still do the Macarena? I don't think so. I'm so lonely. Upvote and subscribe, you fucks!